Hey, how you guys doing? Anyone? Are we streaming? Are we live? Waiting for YouTube to give me a sign of life. Oh, I see it. It's alive. All right. Welcome, everybody. I wasn't planning on doing a live stream, but a couple people thought that my last video that went out today was a live stream, and they were sadly let down. And so I figured, hey, let's do a live stream, right? I got this nice full page spread here of Phobos that we can dive into. We'll see how far I can get. And excuse the roughness of my voice. I got over a cold last week, but my voice and nose is still kind of feeling a little crusty. So I might be like Bob Ross and make a lot of gurgling, swallowing, disgusting noises with my voice as you guys are watching. Hey Bob, welcome buddy. Hey Bob, I really appreciate all your support recently. And I'm glad you're enjoying cognitive drawing and whatever else you're doing. I like your YouTube channel. Good job, buddy. And hopefully we can figure out some way to work together. Okay, sorry. Everybody else, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm having this conversation with Bob, so forgive me. Come back in 5 minutes. I went to my son's class this morning, and there's a whole curriculum. My cognitive drawing curriculum is being used in the class, and the teacher was so excited about it. And I got a bunch of video footage of the kids. They had to sign waivers, you know, saying I could use them in my YouTube video. And she's like changing the curriculum, like making her own version for like second graders. And she's like, the kids are like remembering this stuff like the next week. We have a class for like 45 minutes once a week, and the kids are being blown away because they're retaining everything that they did last week. So anyway, it's kind of really exciting. So I think there's going to be a potential for a lot of development in that curriculum once we get kind of finally tested and figured out how to move forward on it. So anyway, sorry to everybody else. That's the news about cognitive drawing. Wow, there's a lot of comments already. Hey everybody. Hey Comical Foods. Thanks for sending me your comic this morning. It's looking beautiful. Studio Hannah says I finally... Oh man, I can't see. Finally caught up the beginning of the live stream. Yay! If you see this one, to let you know that Sithra Kickstarter books are gorgeous. Thank you. Appreciate that. I really am happy with how the new Sithra books turned out. Hey, Jason got my books and reread back-to-back everything. Love the boxes. Love it. Awesome. Thank you. You guys are so nice. Okay, let's get going. So yeah, I titled this 200,000. I titled this 2 billion subscribers. No, I titled this 20,000 like, oh my goodness, I can't talk. I titled this 20,000 subscribers. What is wrong with me? And it's because I think we're like 4 people away from getting to being at 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. 20,000 has kind of been my really stupid, weird goal for a long time. Just because in talking to people who have big YouTube channels, they're kind of all universally say, once you get to 20,000, things change and your channel grows faster and all that stuff. So I've kind of been, you know, waiting for this moment to see if that's true. And my hunch, it's going to be that it'll be exactly the same, and I'll be like, okay, great. But it's still good. It's still worth it for me because YouTube's been a good way of getting new people to find my work. So I don't mind if it grows slow as long as people keep finding my stuff. That means I can stay in business. You know, if no one finds my stuff, I'm not in business, and I won't be able to keep doing this. Oh, you guys, I wish I had like 500 pages of Phobos done by now, because I really can't wait to show you guys where this really ridiculous story is going. It's ridiculous, but it's also really cool. But, you know, building it up slowly, trying to develop all the characters slowly so that it's more entertaining when you see it pass, when you see everything come to pass. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling. You know, I need to find a picture of this guy. I haven't drawn him in profile for a long time, and I have a feeling I'm doing it kind of funny. Let me just look. Let's see. Here's kind of a profile picture of him. Not a very good one. I guess it's similar. I just need to give him a little bit more kinks in his nose. All right. I don't think I need a reference now. Oh no, I'm getting sucked into the comments. Sorry guys. I'm going to try to make this not as boring as it could be. Okay. Okay, anyway, if you guys do have, hey, there you go. If you have questions, type question in bold or all caps. I only occasionally look at the comments and I scour them for questions. And that's the easiest way for me to find them. If you don't put question in caps, I probably won't see it, because I will assume you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Or you can always do a super chat. That gets my attention, believe me. But the sad truth about super chat is Google takes like 33%. So if you want to throw money at me, there's probably better ways to throw money at me. But I'll take it regardless. But okay, let's get started. Let me get my glasses. I have this pair of glasses where only one eye is, both of my eyes are different, okay? So I have one eye that I use primarily when I'm drawing, and it's kind of been blurrier, getting blurrier as I draw. So I got these glasses, but my other eye is fine, and so I poked out this one side, so I have a a pair of glasses that has one lens, and I sometimes wear them when my eyes feel strained. So I guess you would call them my glass instead of my glasses, right? I need to get my glass. I just need like a monocle. That'd be great. Okay, this scientist is getting his food fed to him through a tube. I need to give him like an expression of like, what should its expression be? It's either like total boredom, because the reason he does this is because he hates wasting time eating. Not even sure how I should draw his hair. He's this big long, let's give him a big old Adam's apple. His face is really weird and long. His chin just like goes on forever. Something more like that. What do I listen to? It depends, Bob. Sorry, I don't know why I saw your question. There's other people asking questions, but I just saw yours. I'm honing in on you, Bob. I usually, it comes and goes. Sometimes I listen to things, sometimes I don't. It kind of depends on what stage I'm at in my drawing. If I have to think a lot, then I tend to not listen to stuff. And thumbnailing and drawing, like this kind of stuff, tends to take up a little more brain power for me. Or when I'm thinking heavily about the story, you know? So, and sometimes it depends on my mood. Like I've kind of been in a quiet mood lately. The quieter things are, the more you can kind of think and assess life and business plans and strategies, and sometimes it's just good for me to just be quiet for a while and allow my mind to kind of have a little bit more free room in there to be mulling over ideas and concepts and business ideas and strategies, and not to mention just storytelling ideas, or working on the layouts and all that stuff. It all takes bandwidth of your brain, and so sometimes I'm in this mood where I just want to be quiet, and sometimes it means I don't. That's why I don't live stream too, because I just need to kind of be able to check out and focus. Also, just to be straight up though too, every time I live stream music, It's like suddenly I can't download my video from YouTube because the rights have been taken over from me, and some record label, because I played one of their songs, they own all the monetization. And so it's just like a little frustrating, especially because I'm promoting their stupid music. But so I'm really careful with who I stream music by now, you know? Like last year, I streamed a lot of Josh Garrels because I just love his stuff. And I like him, and I'm fine with giving him all my money. So but sometimes Josh Garrels' music is a little too mellow. Yeah, I need to be in the right mindset for it. I've been listening to a lot of 21 Pilots recently, especially since their new album came out. But I think I've almost burnt myself out on it. So I listen to it so much, like even all their old albums and stuff, that I'm just kind of like, okay, I need something else. I can't just keep repeating this stuff. But I really, really admire what those guys did and have done and are doing. Trying to figure out the tube this time. First time I introduced this tube, it was just like a hole cut in his shirt, and the tube was sticking into. Just looked kind of funny, but it worked. Let me go look at these questions though. Dude, I totally look like an old man now. Look at this. I got a beard and I have my glasses on the tip of my nose. Things have changed. It hurts my eyes though. I don't know how old men do it. Question, the timeline for Phobos. Are you considering a book every 3 months and about 4 books? Or how long do you think the story will be? Good question. Let me show you actually. Let me pull up my writing software. And I'll open up Phobos. I don't know if you guys have ever used Scrivener. Scrivener is amazing. So this is Phobos. This is what I got so far. So the very first chapter was this. The first book, which was 110 pages. I've been trying to break them up into about 100-page chunks. And so I'm getting close. Like this is, the scene I'm working on right now is probably here. I don't want to give away too much, but it's probably right here. I have this third book pretty close to planned out, and this will be Aninet going into the town, finishing off her week-long test with the scientist, and the introduction of the bad guy, the cat, who's the bad guy. And I was going to group these all together and make one hardcover book. That would be about 300 pages. But I just decided yesterday that I think I'm going to put chapter 4 and 5 in it at the same time, because that kind of completes the story arc of the cat, the evil cat. But then there's Where are they? But then I have 10 other, I have chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which are loosely scripted. Not even scripted, just loose ideas that will complete the overall story arc that I came up with a long time ago. And so this chapters 1 through 10 at this point is the majority of the story, the main first story arc. Now I've set it up so that now I could continue it. It could become another little, maybe five chapter arc after that, if I want to, and I have ideas for that. But as far as, but you know, I don't have anything in here, so it might be 2 like 500-page books at this point, depending on how people react to it, and if I can keep the energy and the excitement for it, which I think I can, because I really like it. But it's one of those things that it's so silly and weird that, you know, I feel weird about making it be my bread and butter project, because then I'll be more restrictive with what I do with it. Does that make sense? And a really good example, I can't show you the example. But it's just because I can have a lot of fun with it if I know that it's not going to be the thing that pays my bills. But as soon as I worry about it, about people not liking it because I'm doing stupid things or going in a weird direction, I suddenly worry about if it can pay my bills, and then I'll eliminate those stupid things that were really fun for me to do that I would laugh at. And so, you know, I want it to be more like an accidental success that ends up paying my bills, instead of trying to force it to be the thing that I work on that pays my bills. Does that make sense? Even though right now it's paying my bills. Oh, wow. So much more complicated than it needs to be, right? But that gives you an idea. And as far as the time frame of the books releasing, I was trying to do my goal was to try to do a book every quarter. Like 100-page book every quarter. I think the issue 2 was going to end up being about 80 pages though. And there's reasons for the change, which I'll have to discuss later, because there's some things I've been offered some things that I'm still trying to work. We're still trying to work out the details, but it might change what I work on in 2019 a little bit, or a lot, I guess I would say. But it's a really good opportunity, so we'll see. It's up in the air. But regardless, I do want to finish Phobos, and I just want it. I kind of want Phobos to be my side project, the thing that I keep coming back to, so that I can treat it as this thing that I have a lot of fun with. You know? It's like playing with his mustache. But I don't know. I'm all over the place emotionally when it comes to Phobos. I don't really know what I want out of it. I just, as long as I'm enjoying it and proud of the end result, it's kind of my goal with it. I don't know what to do with this hand. So yeah, so January I'm planning on printing the second issue, and then after that it might take a little break as I work on something else. I don't know. I hate locking in plans, because then everything changes the next month, and then I have to like explain all the changes. Studio Hannah question: how are you? How's life? Life has been really interesting. Hannah, thank you for asking. It's been weird. It's been weird though. I've had a lot of emotional ups and downs, and I've tried to put my finger on it, and I've been having trouble putting my finger on it actually, because this year has been such a year of mixed projects and experiments, and starting and stopping a lot of things. You know, at first I was trying to do CGMA a little bit to teach. I'd spent like 2 months developing this course for CGMA. I did it for a semester and it worked great. Everyone really liked it. But then the next semester, only like 3 people signed up, so I canceled it. And I was, at the same time, I was trying to like communicate with the local college here, and they were interested in me teaching something. And then everything kind of just fell apart, and I realized that I'm not making any money teaching any of this stuff, or very little. It's a secondary thing, and I'm spending a lot of time on it, and I'm not making very much money. And it's taken up a lot of time. And so I kind of started falling out of love with that idea. And then I started working on cognitive drawing again, which is another educational type thing. But I just couldn't find the excitement for it, because I wasn't sure how people would accept it. You know? So I got quite a bit done on it, but I wasn't moving fast enough to where I felt good about it. I was moving so slow that my time was kind of almost being wasted, I felt. And my money that I had saved to work on it for a couple months was depleting. And I can't do this while I'm talking. That works. My money was depleting, and so I made a decision to like stop cognitive drawing and just package it up to where I had, and move on to something else. I tried to work on Pigeon's Progress, which is a small children's story that I really like. I really think it's good. I got all the book thumbnailed and sketched out, and in the stage that they call the dummy. For children's books, they call that the dummy, when it's all sketches and drawings. I finished that. I was planning on just going straight into finishing the book, then drawing it and painting it. But I didn't have a business plan for how to do a children's book. And so I felt like, okay, this could end up just being something I do for free that takes up my time, a lot of time, and then I don't make any money from it, you know? It's something people like, and I like, and I'm proud of, but unless something's really going to pay me, I can't focus on it too much. And then that's when I switched over to Phobos, because I had a bunch of Phobos done from years ago, and I really wanted to try to push Patreon and grow that, because I figured if I can grow Patreon, then I won't have to worry about these things paying my bills, right? Because Patreon will, in essence, pay my bills. And then I can keep focused on something as long as I need to in order to finish it. So I switched over to Phobos, and it's been going good. You know, the Patreon has grown, but it hasn't grown enough to pay my bills yet, but it's getting close, you know. And so the last so many months I've been tapping into my Kickstarter campaign profits to pay the bills that need to be paid, that Patreon's not paying. And so that's where I was. But then after I got the books and shipped out all the orders, all my Kickstarter money is now gone. So that really kind of shocked the system and made me realize something needs to change now, because I can't keep tapping into Kickstarter money because I don't have any Kickstarter money. And you know, Phobos, it takes me 3 months to do a new issue, and so I can't. I gotta figure out something else. And so that's when last month happened, and I did the November sale. I was like, okay, it's time to do some box set sales. And, you know, thank God for that, because I brought in enough money to cover everything, and so it alleviated that stress, and that was nice. And then we went on Thanksgiving break. And then I came back, and I was just feeling like, I wonder if I'm approaching this wrong. And, you know, like, and I hate to keep reassessing everything, but I think that's what I need to do, you know. Cognitive drawing is doing well in a classroom setting right now. They're using it, so there's a lot of exciting things happening with these things that I'm working, that are in development, but nothing's finalized at a point to where it can really take off, you know. And so but creating Phobos has been the closest thing to solving those problems of paying the bills through Patreon, right? So my thought was like, okay, if I could just get through these months, November, December, and January, without the use of any Kickstarter money, because that's all gone. I mean, I have some saved to finalize the international shipping, but that's another story. But I was like, if I could just get through these months, then I could launch my new Kickstarter in February for books 5 and 6. And I'm assuming that would be a big one. But it's all just, you know, it's an assumption. But I assume it'll be good. And I'm assuming I'll be able to get enough money from that to keep things floating, in addition to Patreon money, assuming Patreon doesn't go up anymore, right? So these are all the thoughts I'm thinking. And I started wrestling with the idea of like, maybe I should just find a job. And I know you guys are all going, why are you saying this? But yeah, I started wrestling with that idea. Why don't I find a job? Maybe something that will just replenish the bills or replenish the accounts. Something that I don't have to really put all of this blood, sweat, and tears into. Maybe. There's something nice about the job that you don't have to like take on full responsibility for every aspect of it. But does that look weird? That looks kind of funny. But anyway, I was wrestling with that, trying to figure out, is that what I'm should be thinking about? Like, why are these thoughts coming to mind? Is that something I should be thinking about? And then literally like the next week, I was offered a job. I still haven't signed anything, but it might be a really good opportunity because it would mean really good pay. I'm still writing, drawing, and coloring a comic. So it's a comic. It would still be my comic. I mean, it's based on an idea, but it would still be me doing it. I wouldn't have to worry about publishing, distributing, marketing. It could replenish the accounts. And it would, you know, so those are, I don't want to give any details other than that because nothing's been finalized yet. But I do have a conference call today. So if you guys want to pray for me. It's going to be at 3 o'clock my time. And we're going to work out some details, and I'll see if it's a good fit. And it would mean a little sabbatical from Phobos, but it would mean there's a lot of good things with it too. So anyway, that's the long story. That's where I've been. That's how I've been feeling, and what's been going through my mind. That's how I've been. And does that look okay? He looks pretty pathetic. Good. That's what we want. Pathetic. So it might come as a surprise to think that I would make some decisions like that, but that's where I'm at. You know, the truth is, I don't know if the Kickstarters that I launch early next year will I don't know what the results will be. I think they're going to be really good, but I still don't know. His forehead looks kind of funny. Of course. He looks kind of lopsided somehow, like his... Maybe it's his eyes or his glasses. So assuming this thing works out, I'll be live streaming. I've already asked for permission to live stream and show progress to patrons and make it very interactive publicly, so that it's not behind closed doors. Because, you know, I don't know. I don't want to just sit there and work on something for a year or 6 months and then no one knows what it is, you know. So, and it seems like they're pretty excited about that. So, if it works out, I'll be sharing the progress and showing you guys it as I go. So, hopefully that answers your question. Long answer. But life is good, though. I'm really happy with. I'm really happy with life. Okay, so yeah, work is one thing, and creative output is one thing. Life is one thing. You know, it's really been good. My relationship with my wife has really been good, and so I'm really grateful for that. I'm learning stuff with kids. You know, I feel like my oldest son is 10. And he's starting to get into the like emotional preteen drama type stuff, and I'm just trying to understand a 10-year-old and myself as a 10-year-old and the feelings that are associated with that. So that's been something that's interesting. Okay, let's move on. Michael, question: do you prefer working in black and white, gray scale, or color? I like it in Phobos, and I'm curious if the gray is more a time saver. Oh, or is it to match the old monster movies? Yes and yes. It's to match the old monster movies, and it's a time saver. I think in black and white pretty much. I don't really think in color very much, but when I have to color stuff, You know, I can go there, but it's not natural for me. But black and white is. I can kind of visualize things more in black and white, and I have more control over it, and I understand the concepts better. You know, black and white's just a lot more simple. So yeah. You know, I'm gonna do this guy on another layer. Foreground, sir. Let's do that. And then I'll put Frank. Mid. That way I don't mess up this foreground layer. Let me save real quick. Okay. Next question. Studio Hannah question. Aninic is... Oh, I can't answer that. Is Canaan backwards? Is that important to the story or just a fun piece of trivia? I didn't even know that. Just joking. Yeah. If you got the old Phobos, that's the old Phobos already explains that. So yeah, but it does have something to do with it. Let's see if I can read. Chris Kit says, as he clears his throat, do you love what you do despite the hard many hours put into things not seen to make the things I? Is that the question? I do love what I do, and that is it's hard when it's like when you have to turn what you love to do into a thing that also makes money, and so it becomes this different emotional attachment to things. But I really love doing this stuff, and if I'm pulled away from it too long, I really start getting depressed. And I mean, November was kind of a month of administrative stuff and doing everything else other than drawing and working on comics and Phobos and stories. And so I was really I think I was really feeling like bummed out because I was doing everything except for the creative side for about a month. And you know, it's nice. I just really like sitting down and drawing stuff. You know, I get burnt out like everyone else if I do too much of it, but I really enjoy doing it. And after I get refreshed and my battery's recharged, oh man, I don't want to do anything else. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to take breaks from it, obviously, too. Curly Busby says, Jason, do you mentor other artists? If you call this mentoring, then yes. I have assistants that I kind of mentor. I've taught online, but I don't really have a lot of time to invest in one-on-one mentoring. So that's why I try to keep a lot of this Q&A stuff public so that people can get something out of it. Even if I can't hang out with you, you know, and look at your portfolio one-on-one. But it doesn't mean I won't do it. It's just got to be the right fit, the right personality, the right person, the right reason, possibly the right money. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I've mentored for money, but doesn't mean it's off the table. But all the reasons just have to be there. You know, I have to kind of connect with that artist's work as well to really want to invest in their work, because that's what I'm doing. I'm investing in what I believe to be a future genius, right? To mentor someone. And I think I have the answer to draw them out and to help them become great, you know? A lot of times, though, mentoring is just like someone coming to me and saying, hey, can you give me the shortcuts so that I can do what you're doing? But they don't want to put in the time. And that's never going to work. It's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for them. And, you know. So mentoring is like kind of like usually off the table. I don't really usually talk about it or do it or try to actively find people to mentor. It's always just kind of like based on how things happen, what happens, what's going on. If that makes sense. Nick says, question, are you going to grow your mustache out like the mad scientist in Phobos? Definitely not. I don't know what's wrong with me right now growing this mustache and beard right now. This thing is... it was never something I wanted to do. So... but now that I'm growing a beard, it's kind of fun. There's some fun things to it. Let's see, I need to figure out this hand. Kind of works. And then this hand is, he's like stirring, but he's just holding onto it like a baby. Oh, I know. The spoon should be upside down. It's just to show how he's still kind of grasping the concept of cooking. Note, no big, but my name is pronounced a little weird. More like Honda. Oh, really? Honda. Without the D. Hana. Okay, like that, without the D. Just letting you know. Carry on. Awesome. Hopefully I can remember that. So it'd be Hana. Right? I'm going to have to pause every time I say it now to remember until I get into the habit. Let's see. Question. For your stories, do you ever seem to go off on tangents with the plot? I have difficulty fleshing out what's important, instead thinking of minor, insignificant details. Yes, I'm guilty. I think it's because I enjoy stories where it's just kind of it feels more like a window into another world, and you just kind of are thrown into it. Maybe everything doesn't always, help the story, as long as it helps build a character's development or something, I'm fine with taking tangents. As long as it aids something, I mean, obviously it would aid something for you to go on that tangent. So a lot of issue 2 of Phobos is kind of that. It's kind of like these little tangents that I've taken as I've tried to like introduce and develop these characters, and it just seemed better to just go off on these little tangents of each character for a little bit, just to kind of get everyone an idea of who they are and what they're like, and then the story can kind of start progressing from there. But yet the story is still progressing through these tangents, you know. But it's probably the reason I end up writing like 1,000-page stories. Sheesh, what's wrong with me? But I don't know any other way to do it for certain stories that I'm writing. You know, I love those details. As long as I'm in love with the characters, I want to spend time with them, you know? And to suck all that time out of it and just get to the point and put 1,000-page comic into 50 pages would make you not spend very much time with those characters and in that environment. And so I want to spend time with the characters. And if no one else wants to spend time with the characters, then I think there's a problem with my storytelling too, you know? So I'm hoping my characters are characters that they all have redeeming qualities that at least in some way that makes you want to hang out with them and find out what's going to happen, you know? And hopefully the tangents provide more mysteries and more questions and more answers and all that stuff. Let's see, another question. I have a really hard time with my style. I consistently jump back and forth between my ideas. Do you have any advice? Ideals? Do you have any advice for how I can find my style and keep it consistent? Stay happy with it. I think style, the whole style issue, I think it really comes down to imitating a bunch of people. Your style will emerge naturally if you copy, say 10 of your favorite artists. Find 10 artists that you love something about their style and copy it. Try to figure out how they do it. Do it as good as you can. Get to where you can make art that people can't differentiate between you and their style. And it won't mean you'll rip off it doesn't mean you're cloning them. It just means you're getting into their head, and then you'll end up naturally retaining what you enjoy seeing and drawing out of that style. And if you do that with 10 artists or 100 artists, suddenly you're not thinking about your style anymore. And I think that's the best place to be, is you're not sitting here going, nope, that's not my style. You know, I can't do that because it's not my style. What is my style? I don't know. You know? So imitate, copy, steal from artist styles. And then if you do that with enough artists, if you only do it with one artist, you'll become a clone, right? If you do it with a whole pile of artists, you'll have a style that will be natural to you. That would be my suggestion. I don't know if that helps though. Oh no, I'm getting to the comments where you guys are reacting to my situation. Still a comic, and as Neil Gaiman says, it will still move you closer to the mountain. Yes, I believe that. Okay, let me look for another question. You guys got another question? Oh, can't see quite. Here's a question. Holly, how's the mutant bunny sculpture holding up? Ah, let me get it. I'll show you. I think it's I don't think anything broke off of it yet. There might have been a couple noodles. A couple noodles that have broken off. Let me go full screen. See that? See the mutant bunny? Uh-oh, I think I just broke something. Look at that. Holly made this for me when she was watching me live stream. Little tail. Yeah, it's just been sitting there on my shelf. My son came over once, and, well, the many times he comes over, and one time he was like, "What is that?" Because he hadn't seen that book yet. And I was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You'll find out sooner or later." And now he's read Citra 4, so now he understands. But it kind of weirded him out. It would weird me out, too, if I saw this. Anyway, this is awesome. What else did you say, Holly? I think about it just about every time I watch one of your videos. Yep, it's good stuff. I love it. Okay. Oh, a little piece broke off. I'm trying to find another question here before I go back into zone out mode. Okay. Let's rock this thing. Oh, wait. Where are we at? Are we at 200 billion subscribers yet? Where is it? It doesn't show. Where are we at, guys? What's going on? Oh, this is going to be such a boring live stream now. Let me open up YouTube to my channel. Click on my name. Come on. Oh, no, we're still at 19,994. I think it went down one. No, I don't know. Anyway, I don't think we'll cross it during this live stream. Who knows, we might. I get about 15 to 20 subscribers a day, which is pretty insane. I mean, it ain't no pootie pie. What can you say? Need to have a crossover with the pootie pie, right? I'm sure he'll love to do it. Oops. Frank is so fun to draw. It's like the Hulk. This is how I cook. I'm referencing my own cooking abilities here. Should I have him drooling into it too? That's good. Because that's how I cook. Anyone want to come over for dinner? So gross. What brush am I using? It's just a, I don't even know. It's kind of a custom brush from DreamWorks that I took and just kind of customized it a little bit more. And it's just because it's kind of crusty. I don't know what it's called. It's just this. We used it on Kung Fu Panda. So, but it's nothing hugely special. Like when I'm using, I actually like the brush in Clip Studio better. There's a kind of a crusty brush, inking brush there, and I like it. I really like it. It's just I'm using Photoshop for this one. Okay, let's see. I need to figure out some details here. This kitchen just kind of changes shape and everything every time I draw it because I'm like, it doesn't look good if I use that same layout. But I figure no one cares. 'Cause I sure don't. As long as this shot looks good or okay. Maybe I want a little perspective on this. I haven't really locked in the perspective, and so I'm kind of stumbling around with it. Here's his spice cabinet. So we know that everybody, including Frankenstein, has a spice cabinet. Okay, he needs to have a mess. So there needs to be a big mess happening. It needs to be like something gross. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Any more questions? Chris asks, do you use other media to create things, or is all for print? Digital working. Do you use other media to create things, or is all for print? It depends. This is all digital. It's intended to be printed. Although I don't have anything against showing it digitally and having it on a website, like I show it to my patrons digitally, but it's the end result is for it to be printed in a nice fat manga-sized book, black and white printing. That's my goal. Remind was about half and half, digital and traditional, but again, that was intended for print. Cithra was intended for print as well, but I inked everything traditionally. I did the sketches like this on the Cintiq, and then I printed it out, and then I inked over it traditionally. So yeah, so it's a pretty good combination. This is the first one where I really decided, okay, I'm gonna just try to do it all digitally. And you know, there's advantages to that. It really helps you go fast. But I really like inking and doing pencil on paper too, so yeah. Oh, thanks, Nick. Elena asked, how do you find cool angles to get a better composition? Oh, Nick. Thanks, buddy. My compositions all happen in the storyboarding phase, or I guess you would say the thumbnailing phase. So like these are thumbnails that I did on sticky notes for Phobos. You know, I'm just trying to figure it out, and each one is like, it's like me trying to figure out a cool composition before I waste any time going to print or going to any further. This is kind of a standard practice for me. I fill up a sketchbook like this with just thumbnails. I mean, that's all this is. And there's the one of the, where is it? Right there, of the squid, you know, in the tank. You know, here I taped down a bunch of my thumbnails that I did on sticky pads. A bunch more. So this is an important stage to really figure out your compositions. I don't ever feel very comfortable going to this stage until I have a composition that excites me, that's in thumbnail mode. And I think about them in doubles page spreads, you know, too. So those are kind of my techniques to figure it out. But really, if a thumbnail doesn't excite me with how it's laid out in the composition, then I generally don't want to move forward with it, until I hit it, have a sketch, a little thumbnail that solves the problems that I need to solve and does it in an interesting way, Another question. Shivam asked, I'm a beginner at making comics. I know Illustrator. I have Wacom. How I can make a living? ? I have fear of what if my work won't stand out. Please advise. Shivam, I would say focus on just getting a job, really. Don't focus on a comic being your livelihood and your job, because you're putting too much pressure on it. You want to put yourself in a place where you're making money, and it doesn't have to be from comics. It can be from anything. It can be from working at a restaurant, whatever. You're making money, and then you're putting your free time into making your comics, and you're building your experience, your skill, and possibly your fan base, even though you need to build your experience and skill first. And then you can focus on transitioning out of a normal paid job to making your comics pay for you. And you can make that transition by putting things online and seeing how your comic is growing in audience. And if it starts bringing in a trickle of money, then that means you can bring in a little more trickle of money. You got to make $5 before you can make $100. And you got to make $100 before you can make $1,000. And it keeps going, right? So don't make it so that your love for your comics and your art style is so crippled by your fear of paying the bills and making the money before you've gotten those skills and before you've gotten the experience and been able to put in the time, right? Because you have to put in the time in order to get over those hurdles. They're just necessary hurdles that only come with time, practice, and in building your skill. So go get a job, any job. It doesn't matter what it is, art or not art. If you can find something in art, cool. But if not, that shouldn't stop you from getting a job, because you should be able to, and that any job is going to help you in life to understand how to make money with comics later on too. So, but get that out of the way. Get a job first, and then use your free time to practice building your skill. That would be what I would advise. Morbid J asks, I hope you aren't sick of this question. And thanks, Nick, for posting these too. This is helpful. I hope you aren't sick of this question, but how do you keep your characters consistent from page to page? Whew. I don't think I do, honestly. I don't think I keep my characters very consistent. It's not as inconsistent as some artists, but I find freedom in being inconsistent. Does that make sense? I don't want to stick so closely to a model sheet. I want to know the model sheet and know the characters, but I don't want to stick so closely that I can't experiment. And so I tend to give myself a lot of freedom with the consistency of the characters. Now, if they have a patch on their left eye and the next panel it's on their right eye, that's a problem, and I need to fix it. And I've made those mistakes continuously all the time, and I usually always have to go through and fix the inconsistencies with, a bandage on the left arm versus the right arm and stuff like that. But there's some ways around it that I've done with Phobos. Like, for instance, the Frankenstein character, he has stitches all over his body, and I made a decision up front this time around that the stitches would always change place and be in a different place every time you see him. And that's just what it's going to be. That way no one can say, oh, the stitches went over his pec one thing and now it's over his eyeball or whatever. I'm like, I'll just like, up front make it so that every panel it's going to be different, and it's only going to aid the art for that frame, you know. And I've forgotten to even put stitches in, and I need to go back in and put stitches in some of the panels. Characters like Aninik, it's just a lack of me being able to draw girls consistently, from angle to angle and expression to expression, and so it just means I should practice like drawing this girl's face more, but I don't. So that would help, you know. Then I don't have to like try to make sure she looks like the same girl from panel to panel. But another thing that helps that is if I only have one girl in my comic, then you're always just going to assume that this is the same girl, right? Even if she looks kind of skewed from panel to panel, right? And so I tend to design my characters so they're very abstractly different from each other, almost. Like the mad scientist, there's no way you're going to confuse him for Frankenstein. You're no way going to confuse Frankenstein for the girl. You know what I'm saying? And the Phobos character, who I've been slowly introducing, there's no way you're going to confuse him with anyone either. And so that's a nice way to make it so you don't have to, you know, if you have a cast of all girls, one has red hair, one has pouty lips, one, you know, you really got to figure out how to draw those girls to make them stand out from each other. But if you have a cast of characters like I have, then you have a lot more freedom to experiment with them and have them morph and change size and everything, and people won't be too thrown off by it. So that's what I think anyway. Is that all we got? Okay. Good questions, guys. Okay. This is the inside of his hand. I just need to fill in this empty space with stuff. I'm trying to decide what stuff. Oh, there's a little detail that I think I accidentally hid last time. Yes, I can add it to this panel. Only true Remind fans will get this. Does it count as an Easter egg if I tell you it's an Easter egg? Oh boy. Boy, more questions. Yupper. Just put question. Oh, see, that tricked me. I thought that was a question. Oh, okay. There aren't any questions. Good. I mean, not good. I like answering questions, so. But yeah, if anyone's new here and you've never asked a question on one of my live streams, go ahead and put question in all caps before your question. That way I can see it real clearly when I'm scanning through the comments. Otherwise, I won't see it. Now, Nick is moderating now. He might see it, and he might help me by reposting your question for me, but make it easy on him. He's not getting paid to do this. Look at this distorted shape. Question. Hana, is that right? Hana, like Honda, but without the D. Hana asks, do you have something like model sheets for your characters? Don't recall. I usually do. I've developed model sheets for Phobos quite a while ago now, because I pitched this just a little bit in Hollywood as a movie idea before like Monsters vs. Aliens came out, and Transylvania 1, 2, and 3 and all that stuff. And there was some interest in it, actually, believe it or not. It was based on my old version. So I developed some kind of character sheets mainly for that reason, to kind of give people like a kind of a Bible type, that's what they call it, the production Bible of what the characters look like, who they are, what the gist of the story is, but I haven't done like a lot of character turnarounds on these guys, just because I've been drawing these guys ever since I was, in junior high, some of them, and so I don't really need it too much with these guys. It's more, it just comes out naturally for me to just experiment and have fun with these guys. But on new concepts, when I'm really trying to figure out a new character that I haven't drawn all my life, I really have to kind of put some time into making a model sheet and like a character turnaround to really figure out the details of the clothes, how everything works as it turns around in 3D space. Beverly asks, how many, okay, let me start over. Beverly asks, I may have missed it, but what caused you to switch from Clip Studio Paint to Photoshop? Is it easier for use in comics? It's because Phobos, I started drawing it in like 2000. This new version, I started doing it in Photoshop in like 2013 or 14. And instead of doing the first so many pages in Photoshop and then switching to Clip Studio and using different brushes and different lighting and I don't know, just trying to use a different software and make it feel the same, which I'm sure I could have. I just was like, you know what, I'll just keep doing it with the tools that I created for Phobos. And that's why it's stuck. So when I start working on another project, I guarantee you I will use Clip Studio instead of Photoshop, because I really like Clip Studio's inking and drawing tools. So you're trying to have an excuse for not having to do a model sheet. Yeah, I can relate to that, because I just want to get in and just start drawing. The thing is, you'll end up spending a day making a model sheet will save you lots and lots of days of fixing characters later on, because you'll get 50 pages into your comic and then you'll realize the first 20 pages this thing was on this side and the other thing is on this side, and so you'll just waste a lot of time fixing things. So I'd suggest doing it. It's kind of important. Comical Foods asks, what are your thoughts on transmedia projects, taking story through different mediums like comic books, board games, movies, etc.? I think there's definitely good use of it and bad use of it. I think it just for a single artist to pull that off, it's harder, because it's a lot of juggling and you need people in place to just manage it across the board. And so if that's what you want to be, is a manager of properties across these different mediums, video games, movies, comics, books, all that stuff, then that's one thing. And so I think it's more of a device that a lot of big studios use when they want to throw money at an idea, and then have it come out across these platforms. And so it works in that sense, but unless you have the capital to fund that kind of production on all those fronts, it's a big risk. It's a big risk for the big studios too, because putting in the time to make a comic is a big risk. You don't know if you're going to get that money back for the time you've spent, and you don't know if it's going to take off. But putting in that kind of risk on 4 different venues that are all about the same property, that is all banking on this one property taking off, I think that's a bigger risk. So you really have to have your cards in place and know that this property is going to take off before you do that, or have the driving force of a company that's going to push it no matter what, and invest millions of dollars into pushing it. And so as individual artists like us, we don't have that ability to, unless you're really well funded and you can push it like that, despite knowing if it'll work, you know? Because I've always told people, not always, but I tell people now that making these comics, it's a numbers game. You have to just keep making comics, and you will be probably surprised by the one that actually takes off. And you can have educated guesses as to which ones will sell better than others, and design them in a way to where they will probably sell better, but it's still a risk. And I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, meaning one property that I'm trying to make: video games, movies, TV shows, Netflix deals, cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons. You know what I'm saying? Comic books, graphic novels. I would rather develop the IP and let someone else who has the access to that determine if it's a good fit for this, and that, you know. But the IP needs, the intellectual property, that's what IP is, that needs to hold its own weight, and it needs to prove itself for me, you know. So those are my thoughts on it. Pentisk, is that how you pronounce your name, asks, is there much of a difference between learning to animate in a video game to make video game assets and learning to animate for anything else? You know, they both are based on the fundamentals of animation and the foundations of animation. So if you can do one really good, you would be able to transition into another really good. I think the best book on animation is that, is it called The Animation Survival Kit by Richard Williams? And it's like an inch thick, and all it is almost completely is walk cycles and animating characters walking. And so if you can do that, you can animate for film, you can animate for TV, you can animate for video games. You know what I'm saying? But that's very foundational and basics. Once you grasp a hold of that, you can animate for anything. Okay. Wait. You guys are saying 20K, dude, and 20K subscribe? What? Is that... You getting my hopes up? Does that mean we've passed? We couldn't have gotten 6 new subscribers. Look at me. I'm all doubtful. You guys are getting my hopes up now when I go find out. You're just repeating the title, right? Watch me go into immediate depression. Oh, hey, we got a new subscriber. We're only 5 subscribers away. I'm all excited about 1 subscriber. Okay, getting close, really close. I think we'll hit it today. Okay, see how cheery I am now? Thank you, new subscriber. You guys, I'm going to have a little giveaway. I got some things I'm giving away for when I hit 20,000 subscribers. You want to see what they are? This is one of them. I got these little coffee table comics flash drives. I think they're 8 gigs. I got like 20, 25 of these. I'm going to be giving them away to people. So that's one. I also want to give away these. This is a comic I made for Cave Pictures. I have a 12-page comic in the back. Not that. Not that. This here. It's about Plato's Cave. They gave me a whole pile of them, so I'd like to give these away. What else am I giving away? Oh, I was thinking about giving this thing away. Let me show you. This is my 5 years at DreamWorks statue. It's this character, and he's holding up his hand saying 5, and it says DreamWorks on it and everything. It's a little maquette. I've never set it up though, so I figured I'll give it away. So I don't know how I'll give it away yet, but I was just waiting until I get 200 billion people to give it away, to justify it. So anyway, I don't know. I'll probably just draw. I'll probably just rant. I don't know how I'll do it. Help me figure out how to give these things away. Because I can't track whose new subscribers are. And I don't want to like eliminate the old subscribers who I've been subscribed for a long time. Maybe I'll make a video on it and just say the first people to comment can claim prizes. But as far as the sculpture, the statue, I don't know. I'll probably just pick one of my patrons or something like that to give it to. And if they don't respond, then I'll pick another patron. How's that sound? I'm just trying to clear house. I just want to get rid of junk, that's all. Will you take my junk? Just joking. It's good stuff. Trying to fill this space with stuff. This card is not really working. I need to like move it down or something. It doesn't really look like it could fit there. Wedge it in. I'll just wedge it in. Perspective is all weird. but it's okay. Don't ask me what that stuff is, because I don't know. It's just stuff. Okay, I just need to draw a Nynik running in. Make Frank really hairy. Here's some more questions. Michael O'Hare asks, do you ever wrestle with the balance between cartooning shorthand with comics versus illustration massive detail? Letting the page go even though you could noodle it forever. Yeah, that's always kind of in the forefront of my mind, and there's moments that I want to be very detailed, and it comes down to for me it comes down to the contrasts that I see that detail can provide, because everything's about contrasts, you know, foreground, background, blacks, whites, with color, hues, saturations, all that stuff. And you can also have a contrast of detail. And I kind of learned this at DreamWorks. There was some really neat art for the second Puss in Boots movie, and there were these really nice wide pieces of art. And I don't know if this translated to the movie or not. Did they even make a second movie? I don't know. But the art was like very clean and simple on one side, and then you'd look across the panel and it would be really extremely detailed over here. And it worked really well because it'd be like desert versus the details of a palace. And so ever since seeing that, and then there's also the influence of Sam Keith back in the day. He would do that kind of stuff too. His characters were very all over the place. Sometimes it'd be super saturated detail, contrasty detail mixed with really simple stuff. And I really want to embrace that. I've really tried to embrace that over the years, to pick where I put my detail. Because if you put a lot of detail in one part and then you leave the rest undetailed, you kind of trick people's minds into thinking it's all detailed. But you can also play with like negative space that way. And so it's really a fun tool to use. And so I might have limitations to how much detail I want to put into a page, like for Phobos, and it might be different than the detail I would want to put into a page for something else. But for the most part, I play with both. I I'm not as attracted to cartoony style detail though, to where it's just like, you know, all bent and distorted with one line. That's never been very attractive to me, and so I generally stay away from that kind of detail though, or that kind of subtle detail. Let's see. Question. Hate to be the killjoy, but are you watching the time? Didn't you have a call coming up? I do. It's not till 3 o'clock my time. Now you're making me second guess that though. Ah, my friend said this is a text to see if you check your phone during your live stream. I guess I do. Thanks, Rand. Yeah, the call should be later, but I should probably get off. Let me check my email. You made me totally second guess myself now. But thank you for that, because that would be sad if I missed it. Let's see, where was it? Sorry, boring live stream. Boring live stream. $5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which comes out to 3 p.m. my time. Okay, cool. Thanks for making me check. Now I'm confident again. Question, what is your process on backgrounds and how do you manage to draw them? Well, this is a good example right here. I had a super quick thumbnail, and then I just go in and I just throw in a bunch of sketches to kind of figure it out if it's detailed like this. And then I have this on my other screen, which is a reference. And then I just go in and add lighting, basically. Lighting and shadows. This is from the first issue. I do that with gray tones. You see the contrast here? There's detail, but it's pushed back in the background, and then the foreground has more higher. Okay, there's different kinds of contrast, but this is more saturated than this, and that's a different kind of contrast. So that's what I was talking about with detail. Detail being another kind of contrast. Anyway, wow, 2 subjects in one. Okay. And so that's what I do, and you can see in my other live streams when I'm actually coloring, not coloring, but doing the grayscale, I use the lasso tool. I might get into that a little bit, but I might, you know, I think I need to go to lunch, actually. So I'll finish sketching this page out, and then I'll take a break. But yeah, that's how I do my backgrounds. And a lot of times I leave them blank because, you know, once you have a nice establishing shot like this, there's no point in redrawing it over and over and over again from subtle different angles. So I don't worry too much about backgrounds if I don't need them. Another question, do you see yourself going back to working with the big studio environment? No, I don't really enjoy it. I want to make intellectual property that big studios would want though. So if a big studio would to want, say, Phobos, I would love to sell an option to them, and I wouldn't mind participating in it from a distance. You know, going to meetings and seeing the progress of it. But I don't want to be in a studio for a year or 2 years or 3 years working on a movie again. Even if it's my own movie, I would rather be working on the next project that I'm working on and just keep building a catalog of stuff that studios can be interested in. But I don't really want to go back to a studio. I really enjoy making my own stuff and doing it on my own time, and you know what I'm saying? But That doesn't mean I will never do it, but this is what I prefer, you know. Question. Finally caught up with the stream. Would you make a sketchbook tour sketchbook tour video of your thumbnail sketchbook you showed before, like old art videos? It would be amazing and inspirational. Huh, I could do that. Yeah, I'll put that on my list of like things that I'll explore on video. I have a lot of storyboard stuff I want to go through at some point. I got a lot of like better pages that actually started getting me work too. All the stuff I've showed so far has been stuff prior to making art that actually got me work. And then I started finally getting to a stage where I would make make comic pages and send them to companies, and I would start getting job offers. But it was never quite the job offer that I wanted. And then I immediately after that got hired to do storyboards in LA, and so that was paying way more money, you know. And so I was just like, okay, I'll move to LA, and then that changed my whole career trajectory. So anyway, another question: what are your goals for 2019? They keep changing. Yeah, they keep changing. I do want to get, I really want to get Sithra 5 and 6 printed and done so that Sithra is completely out there and off my plate. And printed, Kickstarter done. I had my sights set on getting the first collected book of Phobos done as well, early, but because of this offer that I've gotten recently, I think I might put a slight hold on Phobos, and so maybe towards the end of the year I'll try to have something for Phobos to launch on Kickstarter. And assuming this other project works out, I'd like to get that all done and in the bag. And yeah, I kind of want to replenish my bank account. And just get myself more situated and set up to where I can keep doing this for as long as I can. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this whole strategy is setting everything up so that it can last as long as possible. And so I'm really just trying to position everything to last forever. Have a studio that works, that pays all the bills, and all the intellectual property keep coming out, and doing it in a way to where I can keep making money from it, so I can keep making it, you know. Which, I mean, I'm kind of at that point now, but I just want to, but it can come with, I can't overwork myself, and I want to make sure I've positioned myself to where I don't overwork myself, you know. Another question: I'm currently working on comic submission for Alterna Comics, and it says that in case the comic is approved, they want the PSD files in a CMYK format. How do I save in CMYK format? You could create them in CMYK format if you want. If the coloring isn't going to be really crazy, if it's just flat colors, then I would just build it that way. But if you do stuff like I do, where you have a lot of shade, like a lot of lighting effects and stuff like that, your tool set is really limited if you work in the CMYK mode. Because you know you can just change it in Photoshop, right? Image, mode, CMYK color, right? I'm using grayscale right here, but usually I work in RGB, and then I convert it to CMYK. So look, don't merge. Boom, now this is CMYK. So if it's simple stuff, then you can convert it real easy and it doesn't make a huge difference. You can kind of see the lines got a little darker when I merged it. And it's because the art's not flattened. If you flatten the art, you can convert it pretty good. There's some colors that have trouble converting, but I have to give all my files to the printer in CMYK. So what I do is I have my master file. I save out a CMYK version that is flattened with the fonts on top on a separate layer, and the word balloons usually, but the art is all flattened and it's converted to CMYK. So it takes a little getting used to making those changes, but it's definitely doable. The more complicated your coloring and your art is, the more work you're going to have to put into making that conversion look good. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to get back to drawing. Do you know how awesome you are? Oh, very humbled, dude. Appreciate that. Question. Hopefully it's a real question. But mostly black and white with red. It's mostly black and white with red. I like that. That's a good choice. I'm actually considering doing a hint of colors in future issues of Phobos when certain things are introduced, you know? So it'd be similar to that. I work in Sketchbook and apparently it only works in RGB. Is there a way to convert RGB PSDs files to CMYK? Is the color going to be off? Well, you could just save out the Sketchbook file. Can you save out a PSD from Sketchbook? I'm pretty sure you can. And then open it in Photoshop and then convert that to CMYK. If you're just doing black and white and reds, yes, it'll probably change things a little bit, but just keep your master file open and you can compare it on the screen. And you can do things like if you go to View, what is it? Proof Setup. You can. How is it? What was I thinking? Proof colors. I should have. See, now this would be a good thing for me to practice before I just tell you I know what I'm talking about. So okay, so I am. This here is a grayscale file, right? But the way I'm viewing it is in a working CMYK. What is it called? Format. This is so confusing, guys. I don't know how to explain it. So it's kind of showing me what it would look like if I were to print it in CMYK. Make sense? That's what this is. You can go working black plate, and you would think that it would just be the exact same image, but because it's pretending that it would strip it apart into CMYK, it's only using part of the blacks. Man, this is too complicated. There's no way anyone's understanding what I'm talking about. But this hasn't changed my art. It's just the way it's previewing the art. Does that make sense? So a lot of times I look at my art before I go to print if it's color with a working black plate to make sure my blacks are solid black. And this is one way to tell. I don't know what else to say. That it's too hard to explain, and I'm not a professional. Let's see. Okay, done with questions for now. Let me go back to drawing. Too many people are leaving the live stream. Just joking. Let me make a new layer for 9 inch. Whoa. Glitchy. Probably have to sketch her out before I go straight to finished. She's like, hey guys. Oops. How's that face? There's your mole. draw feet. Should I just put a rock in front of it? There we go. Big old crazy feet. New York? Is one of you guys calling me from New York? I just hung up on you. Sorry. Oh wait, her foot's... That one's kind of hidden. Yay! I hit her foot. Does that look like she's just running into the room? Okay, I'll have to work on it. The only thing that's kind of fleshed out is this guy, mad scientist, in the foreground. Everything else is kind of rough. I still need to kind of go over the Frank character. So I need to go over the Frank character. Probably this, excuse me, probably this mid-ground area. And her. And then I think the background will probably just stay as sloppy as this, but I'll just paint over it and give it kind of that mood and texture and lighting and all that stuff. Sweet! I think it's good. Let me save this thing. Okay. All right, guys. I'm gonna do one more pass on any questions before I hang up. Jamie says, any advice on someone waiting to start out as a storyboard revisionist? Anything specific you can practice to get prepared? A storyboard revisionist? I didn't even know that was a job. I just thought you revised your own boards. I mean, if you... Is it for animation, or is it for commercials, or is it for movies? Because they're extremely different. I would assume it's for probably like TV animation, right? Am I right? Okay. Question, any tips on balancing making art digitally and making art traditionally? I had the idea of having a sketchbook Friday where every Friday I do traditional pieces for that day. I also had the idea of practicing traditionally in ink to accomplish that balance. Like up until this point, I've mixed my digital and traditional, because I would always do something in the computer, then print it out, and then do either pencils or inks or sketches over that or something, and then scan it back in and then color it. And so it was always a big hybrid of back and forth. So you can think about that. You could try something like that, like do a sketch on your Cintiq, print it out in a really light tone of blue or red or something, and then ink over it. And then you're kind of merging the two. I'm never really in favor of just like reserving time and spending time just to practice another style just for the sake of practicing it, though, which sounds odd, but I like to make stuff that actually accomplishes a goal, like more than one goal. So if I'm practicing a style, I would want it to also, in practicing that style, I'm actually creating something else to sell. So if I wanted to practice a more traditional style and I only used a digital, I would just like make a little short traditional comic that I could do that's only like 10 pages or something, and once a week I work on it or whatever it is, and then at the end I have a finished comic and a story that I might have wanted to tell for a long time, but I could also sell it as a product. So I was practicing a different style, you know, honing my craft, and then I have something to sell. So I don't know, maybe think that way. That might help you come up with some solutions for blending your styles and stuff. I don't know if that helps. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, whatever gets you excited, really. It's what it comes down to, you know, like, yeah, there was a time when I really went through anatomy books and practiced all the anatomy I could, and I spent, you know, months doing that. So there's a time for that. If you haven't done that, then that's probably a good idea. For me right now, it's really difficult to do that kind of thing because I feel like I know I'm growing in my skill more by practicing, but my time, I just feel like time is so valuable now to be working on personal projects that I want to get getting stories out and ideas out, and you know, like I've been learning anatomy again as I'm making cognitive drawing. That's been kind of a reason for me to actually dive in back into anatomy, but it's serving that purpose of getting that book done. Make sense? Anyway, anything to keep the motivation up and keep you excited about it, and to kind of give you something more to offer other people is, I think, beneficial. All right, guys, it's been over 2 hours, and have we hit 200 million subscribers yet? Let me check. 200 million. I know that would mean I'm the biggest YouTuber. I think it's possible. This Livestream was pretty good. Oh no, we haven't. 4 more subscribers though, and yeah, it's getting close. Oh, another question, Chris. Do you see much of a difference between the traditional and digital, or you see them seamlessly blend? Are you talking about in other people's work or in my work? If it's other people's work, I can pretty much spot the difference. There's some cases where it's harder to spot the difference, especially now. There's some really good digital tools that make it harder to spot the difference. But the thing is, digital tools make people relax a lot more, and so their stuff is a lot looser and flowy. If you get a traditional artist to get that confident, it's unparalleled in my mind. Whereas it's easy for people to get into that mindset with digital because they can always undo something or change it, you know? So there's advantage to putting in that time traditionally to get confident, to be able to just flow. With my own work, there are moments when I'm starting to forget. When I look back at it again, I start forgetting if I did it traditionally or not. So I think I'm starting to kind of blend. I mean, there's certain projects that are globally digital, like this Phobos. It's all digital, and so I know it's digital. But there's some points in Citra where I did a hybrid. I would ink, and then I would do some digital, and sometimes I would just go full digital. And when I look at those pages, I'm kind of like, it's kind of getting hard to tell. I think the digital is a little cleaner, honestly, on those books, specifically Citra 6, just because, you know, I can noodle it a little bit more, get in there and work out the details. But whenever I'd print it out and ink over it, it's like I'm stuck with what I did. All my mistakes are ingrained in the inks, and I can't sit there and go back over it. I can go open it up in Photoshop and go back over it a little bit, and sometimes I did that. Anyway, I'm mumbling too much. I need to get some food, and I will see you guys later. I probably won't stream again today, so but you know what? Regardless, I will record myself finishing this page so that I can offer it as a video on YouTube one of these days. All right. Thanks, you guys. Love you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting me by watching. And I don't know what else to say. It's a bad exit. Bad exit.